So we're actually gonna do something we've never done before. We're gonna go see one of my good friends, Pat Bowen. He's the principal percussionist of the Las Vegas Philharmonic, and he's gonna help us with percussion. Let's go check it out. How did you start off in percussion?
Well, I'll be honest with you, I started young in New York State, and I started in 4th grade, which is a little unusual. And I had a mentor who was playing in high school, and I got to study with him, and I felt it was an opportunity to play a musical instrument and play many different instruments.
What are the different parts of the snare drum?
Great. Well, first of all, let's talk about the batter head. This is a 14-inch concert snare drum with a batter head, which means this is the side that you strike. The bottom side is called the snare head or resonating head. That normally is a little bit thinner. And you can see that underneath are what we call the snares. The snares enable them to be called a snare drum. The snare mechanism turns off and on the snare drum. By pressing it this way, we engage the snares. By turning them off, especially when brass players are playing, we disengage the snares. You have a tension knob right here that you can use to tighten or loosen the snares as you see fit. I tend to like to make it a little looser and get a good snare sound when we're going forward with that. This is the lug casing, and this is where the lugs go in to the lug casing, and the lug casing is attached to the shell. This is a Greenspun Junior High School snare drum that we decided to use that is basically a beautiful drum that is rosewood and creates an opportunity for it to resonate with a nice warm sound. I like to keep a nice clear sound when I play in the orchestra, but sometimes you're able to put a piece of plastic, which is a studio ring right here. Some people actually will put maybe a piece of leather here to get a little, or a little felt to put a little muffle on it. It's really up to the choice that your director wants and what you choose to do as an artist. When we do a drum roll, we don't roll the drum on the floor like this. A drum roll actually happens on the batter head. What I usually do is I loosen this knob right here, and there are certain knobs that control the cradle of the snare drum stand. And by loosening and tightening it, it increases the width of the cradle. The height is adjusted with this knob right here, and I usually try to keep it about belt level, the snare drum and the snare drum head. This tilts the drum one way or the other. Certain people like to play traditional grip. I play matched and traditional grip, and we'll talk about that later. And then by pushing it this way, I have a little angle, especially if I'm playing in a drum set scenario. The legs are elongated. They're not short like this, and they're not way out like this. You want to try to find a happy medium for the base of the stand. Okay. And when that's all done, you can put the snare drum on and tighten it up. Certain people who are really cool actually take the snare drum and do the cradle, which I think is pretty cool, because what that does is that enables less of the snare drum stand to be on there.
So it makes it more resonant?
Yep, and less metal's touching it. And it's just touching the rim of the snare drum.
Oh, cool.
Which is pretty cool. I wonder if I got that side. I did pretty good. Look at that. It's okay to put it on the bottom of the cradle. Maybe I shouldn't do the stick flip. They're all going to be doing stick flips if we do that.